In the time before the Great Flood, when the earth was still young and humanity was beginning to flourish, a terrible rebellion unfolded. The Watchers, 200 mighty angels, descended from the heavens to walk among men. They were not merely messengers or silent observers. They had come for something far more dangerous. Led by Shemi-Haza and Azazel, they abandoned their divine post, their place among the celestial hosts, and chose instead to rule, to take, to corrupt. What they desired most were the daughters of men, mortal women whose beauty enthralled them. They took them as wives, defying the very order of creation. From this unholy union, a new race was born, the Nephilim, giants of immense strength and terrifying wickedness. At first, they were seen as gods, beings of immense power who walked among men, but their dominion soon turned dark. The Nephilim became tyrants, devouring the land's resources, waging endless wars and oppressing humanity. Their presence defiled the world, and the Watchers, who had once been divine protectors, became corruptors, teaching mankind forbidden knowledge, sorcery, weapons of war, astrology, and arts never meant for human hands. The world descended into chaos. Violence spread like a plague. Blood stained the earth. The cries of the innocent rose to the heavens, and God's patience, vast though it was, came to an end. The great archangels, Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, and Uriel, looked upon the suffering of the world with sorrow and righteous fury. The sins of the Watchers and their monstrous offspring had reached their limit. They carried the cries of humanity before the throne of God, and the Most High, in His justice, decreed the punishment. The Nephilim would be destroyed. They would turn on one another, their own strength becoming their downfall. A war of giants would consume them, and blood would wash the land clean. Then a greater judgment would come, a flood, a divine cleansing that would wipe away the corruption of the Watchers' rebellion. But for the Watchers themselves, an even darker fate awaited. They would be bound in chains, cast into the abyss, their voices silenced for eternity. Yet they were not ready to accept their punishment. Stripped of their former glory, the Watchers trembled. They who once commanded the elements, who beheld the face of God, now cowered in fear. In their desperation, they turned to one man, Enoch. Enoch was no ordinary man. He had walked with God, spoken with angels, and had been granted wisdom beyond human understanding. The Watchers fell before him, their voices shaking. They begged him to stand before God on their behalf, to plead for their forgiveness. Enoch agreed. With the weight of their sins upon him, he ascended beyond the limits of the earth, beyond the stars, until he stood in the throne room of the Almighty. Before him stretched a great house of white marble, its walls shining like hailstones, its floor of crystal, its ceiling like the stars themselves. Blazing light filled the air, and in the midst of it sat a great glory, God Himself wrapped in flames of fire. Enoch knelt, trembling, and presented the petition of the Watchers. But the answer he received would shake the very foundations of existence. A voice, thunderous and final, echoed through the heavens. You have been in heaven, yet all its mysteries were not revealed to you. And in your arrogance, you revealed the worthless ones to men. Through these, mankind has fallen into great evil. Therefore, you shall have no peace. The Watchers had seen the face of God, known His power, His holiness, and yet they still chose rebellion. Unlike mankind, who had been created with the potential for redemption, the angels had no such fate. They had no excuse. Their punishment was absolute. You should have interceded for men, not men for you. Their plea was denied. The gates of heaven closed behind Enoch as he returned to earth, carrying the answer they had feared the most. No mercy, no second chances, no redemption. When he delivered God's judgment to the Watchers, their cries of despair shook the mountains. But it was done. Their fate was sealed. For their crimes, the Watchers were bound in chains and cast into the abyss, a prison beyond imagination. Deep beneath creation, in a desolate realm where no light could reach, they were locked away until the final judgment. I saw a deep abyss with columns of heavenly fire, and in it a place of darkness prepared for those who have been cursed forever. And for Azazel, the corrupter, a fate even worse awaited. He was bound hand and foot, thrown into a pit in the desert, buried beneath jagged rocks where he would remain in silence and torment until the end of days. Their names became a curse, their legacy, ruin. But their influence, it did not end there. Though the Watchers were imprisoned, their offspring, the spirits of the Nephilim, remained. No longer of flesh and blood, they wandered the earth as evil spirits, tormenting mankind until the final judgment. A day will come when the abyss will be emptied, not for redemption, but for destruction. Depart from me, you cursed, into the eternal fire prepared for the devil and his angels. On that day, the fallen angels, the demons, even Satan himself, will be cast into the lake of fire, where torment will be their eternity. Their rebellion will have led only to ruin, their power stripped, their names forgotten. But what does their story mean for us? The Watchers fell because of pride. They rejected God's authority and followed their own desires. For that, they lost everything. Pride goes before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall. If even the mighty angels could not escape judgment, what does that mean for us? The story of the Watchers is not just history, it is a warning against rebellion, a warning against corruption, a warning against turning away from God's path. The question is, will we learn from their fall, or will we too ignore the warning until it is too late? Let's discuss in the comments. Do you think God's judgment was just? Should the Watchers have been given another chance? And if you enjoyed this deep dive into biblical mysteries, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss a new video. Until next time, stay strong in faith, seek wisdom, and remember, some mysteries are meant to warn, not to be repeated.